Hello, my name is Charlene Stinard, and I'm here on behalf of the Kittitas County League of Women Voters. Joining us today to talk about their 2026 April levy request is Tim Praino from the Kittitas School District, along with a wonderful student, Jolene, and faculty member, Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining us. This interview is being recorded and will be uploaded to the League's YouTube channel and shared with traditional and social media. Let's get started. Tim, what's the most frequent question that you get from voters about the levy, and how do you explain to them its importance and relevance?
Probably the most frequent question that I receive from voters is the question is this a new tax? And what I continue to share with voters is that is not. This is a renewal tax that the voters of the Kittitas School District have long supported our schools, and this is a 4-year renewal levy. This was passed back in 2022. And unlike most districts, we have just wanted to keep that levy rate the same as it was. So it truly is a renewal. A lot of our neighboring districts went up to $2.42 per thousand, and we've kept ours right at $1.67 because we know the importance of what we need for our students to be successful and where that money is going. So,
well, if there's a state tax, property tax for education, help us understand why this local levy is so important.
So from a basic education standpoint, the state only funds K-12 education, and it only funds the basic components of that. So that is what is happening from 8 to 2:30. And they only give us a set amount of money. Everything that happens after 2:30, when it comes to clubs, sports, activities, that is all locally funded. And the state only kind of provides about 85% of what it costs to operate our schools. And right now, that's where you can see where the staff salaries then are increased, and the local tax dollars help pay the difference. But all of our local tax dollars goes to our sports, our clubs, our activities from 6th grade on.
And that's what EP&O levy is dedicated to?
The educational programs and operations. And so we also have what we call our MSOCs, which are materials, supplies, and outstanding costs that also is funded by the levy. So as prices go up, whether it's electricity or whether it's gas, that's also coming from our local dollars.
And we're all gasping at the cost of gas these days.
Yes.
Um, what happens if the levy fails? And I'd really like to have just a comment from each of you about what happens. What could be the outcome if we aren't successful passing this levy this time?
I can address from my perspective. I am a career and technical education teacher, and in teaching family consumer sciences, my student organization is FCCLA, and we have been very active both at the regional, state, and national level for 20 plus years. And wow. My students have been awarded multiple opportunities for projects that they've done that have fulfilled a need in either our school or our community or even at the national level. And so those opportunities would not be as supported as they have been. Just for my kids to go to state and compete is over $500. And, the district will help out with paying for those rooms for state so that it's not so much fundraising for the students. But, the opportunities that have come out of that organization have been tremendous, whether they be state or national officers or representing FCCLA in Sweden as the one and only student at an organizational meeting is pretty amazing. And for that to go away would be horrific for me.
So there's not only student learning, but student success in this much larger sense of participating in the world, learning, connecting, networking, contacts.
I was going to say networking, and it's so important for me, for my students to go to nationals and be successful and know that they have the skills here in Kittitas to be able to be successful in the national playing field. Sometimes they think that maybe we're a little bit less than because we're a small school, but we are nationally known.
Well, congratulations. What great good work. Jolene, tell us a little bit about, from a student perspective, you're a senior, right? So you've been there and you kind of know the ropes. Tell voters what, from your perspective, importance this has.
Well, from a student perspective, I'm gonna come from someone who has gone throughout high school. I was able to participate in FCCLA, ASB, and a bunch of different sports. And having that opportunity to kind of branch out and network with new people, be part of teams, it teaches you new skills, but then also it looks good for colleges after high school. And I'm actually committed to Occidental after I graduate. And I talked to a bunch of college counselors about what would look good on my resume to pursue college after. And it sets us apart from other schools and other students who are applying to these colleges. When I say I'm part of FCCLA, I've been a state officer, I'm an ASB officer, and I also was a volleyball captain. It kind of sets me apart from all of the other applicants that are applying to these colleges. And I think that students coming from Kittitas, it's important for them to also say that they are a part of something and that they were a part of their community.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your comments. That's really important. I think that those of us who are parents, grandparents, and know kids understand what this means in your lives as well, because you're our future, obviously. And Tim, from your perspective, I mean, you're running the show here. What happens if this levy fails?
Well, if the levy fails, we have to come up with a plan in reducing upwards to about 19% of our overall budget, which would automatically eliminate, I could say, middle school sports, middle school activities. We would also be eliminating high school sports and activities. Some of these programs that Gilena has shared with you would be going away, and our students would not have those opportunities then to go compete at a district, a state, a national level, thus also not being able to put that on their college resumes or their work resumes as they're moving forward. We would also have to take a look at what we spend in a certificated, that's kind of our teaching staff, and a classified staff, where we would have to reduce a couple of positions probably out of each group. And so we've done a nice job with our budgets. We have a fund balance that's, right around 7%. But without this levy, we would be looking at having to make significant cuts, almost up to 15% across the district.
So for those students currently enrolled and those coming up through your school district, these cuts could have a major impact on the quality of their educational experience, I presume. Yeah.
Yes.
Gilena, you made a really interesting comment about what college admissions folks look for. I worked in that arena before I retired, and I'm thinking that that's one of the things that I think parents might not realize, that the importance of your having a rich background of experience and knowledge is critical in getting admission and support for the next step, wherever students go after high school. But I really appreciate your comments and your thoughtfulness about that. Um, Come back again, Tim, sorry, to what what how much of the school district's revenue comes from this levy?
So currently we have about $11.1 million budget, is what we operated on the 2025-26 school year. 1.9 is what we're asking voters for as a renewal tax comes from. So roughly about 18 or 19% is coming from this EP&O levy.
There is the other question that often concerns people, and you addressed this a bit earlier, but let's hit it straight on. Is this going to impact my property taxes? And is it going to make it extremely difficult for me to pay my property taxes this year, next year, the following year?
What we put on our website is a nice little levy tax calculator. So you can put in what your property is valued at, and it will shoot out exactly, including our EP&O levy, of what you would pay in school district taxes. So for instance, and this is the example that we have on a $500,000 piece of property, your tax rate would increase by $35 a year. And so it is going to go up, but it's going to go up, if you looked at it across a monthly basis, about $2.91 a month. So,
right. And the impact is enormous.
Absolutely.
I mean, in terms of the quality of services and educational experiences and opportunities and faculty, yeah. So $35 a year, we can help support Kittitas School District, right?
Yes, yes.
If people are worried about that tax increase, as minor as it may be, some seniors and others are struggling right now. Are there ways that they might investigate mitigating the costs for themselves?
Yes, and they at the Kittitas County Courthouse, there is some paperwork that they can fill out to be tax exempt on this piece too. And we are also creating links in our flyers and all of our information going out on Facebook, how for seniors to access that to see if they qualify for those exemptions.
Okay, that's great, because I know this has been and is continuing to be a tough year for everybody. And we're all struggling a little bit with some parts of it. Cheryl, I'd like to come back to you for a minute and ask you, what would you say to the voters in our district to encourage them, first of all, to come out and support you? But again, you talked about your specific experiences. On a little bit larger picture, what would you say, or what do you say to your friends and neighbors who ask you about why should I even bother to vote? Why? Would you just give us your thoughts on that?
Sure. First of all, I'm a taxpayer in my district. So I went right to Mr. Praino to make sure I had my information correct, because I was being asked. And I think what I would say to them is that I feel like the quality of the education that kids get within our school is second to none. I think that we know our students. If I come across a name of a student I don't know, I seek them out because I want to be able to put a face to a name because I know most of those kids. And I think that one of the great things is for as small as we are offering as much right now as we possibly can in the area of career and technical education. We have a very wide scope of courses. We have 3 full-time career and technical education teachers who are working to create dual credit and college in the high school courses. And we work really well together as a team in career and technical education. So, so many of the kids are not 4-year bound like Gilena, and we want them to have comparable wages too. And current technical education is setting kids up for that, to be able to have careers that they can live comfortably on with families.
Gilena, when you talk to your friends and your parents and your friends' parents, can you have this kind of conversation with them? Do you have this kind of conversation with them about what's going on in school and how this might have an effect on you and them, your friends? I'm curious, but I also want to encourage you to do that, of course.
Well, actually, I have talked to my dad about this. I had this conversation with him a couple weeks ago about how the last one didn't pass. And unfortunately, we're not part of the Ellensburg district, so we can't vote yes on this levy.
Right.
But we talked about it, and we were talking about how, unfortunately, this levy, obviously it's a renewal, and we're asking for the same things, but other schools, they are asking for more. And obviously I'm graduating, so it's not affecting my family as much as before.
Yeah.
But we're still part of the community. And I think that my parents watching the community members and all the students graduate, it's kind of disheartening because they also want our community to succeed. And watching my friends that are underclassmen and the possibility of them not pursuing FCCLA or ASB or other sports, it's sad because I obviously want them to succeed as much as they can in this environment. And I want them to pursue more and have more opportunities.
Yeah, I think the student voice is really critical here as well. I'm so pleased that you could join us for this conversation, Gilena. You're our leaders of tomorrow. As much as we old folks like to think we have things under control, we know very well we have to turn it over to you very shortly. And it's really marvelous to see that this school district and yours are doing so much to prepare students. Cheryl, your work is incredible. And I think, Tim, that focus on technology and improving the kinds of skills that students would you talk a little bit more about that? I'm really interested in how the school is working to prepare students in this sort of odd transition stage where we're living with new forms of technology. Could you just talk about that a little bit, what the school is doing?
You betcha. And so we want to make sure that every graduate of Kittitas schools, I call them, have open lanes. So they have the skill sets, the critical thinking, that whether they are like Gilena that's going to go down that 4-year, college route, or whether they're going to go to Perry Tech, or whether they're going to go straight to the workforce, that we are sending our kids out with a skill set that they can think critically, react, and be ready for the world. And so a lot of the stuff that we're doing with our tech dollars is making sure that they have the background, that they're ready for what the world's going to bring, whether it is around AI, whether it is in using, they need the term here, the geo mapping to do the sprinkler systems out on the out in the wheat field. But we want to make sure that we give our students all of those backgrounds and those opportunities. Cheryl, I'm going to brag a little bit for her. I'm going to set her up here, but she meets and has a class, our career planning class, career choices, to where each senior goes on a deep dive in regards to what they're going to study and what they're going to go into to see if that's going to be the right field for them. And I'm going to turn this over to Cheryl to share a little bit about what they do, because this is one of those programs that really separates us from other places.
Well, the senior projects, as it was known at the state level, they have done away with it, and I think as a requirement. And I think one of the reasons that Kittitas still has that opportunity, it's a career investigation is what the seniors are doing, and then they share with a panel everything that they've learned. It's a show what you know kind of activity, and if nothing else, it tells kids, oh, I don't want to do that. That's not at all what I thought that career was going to be like. And I tell them that's a win, because you haven't invested the time or energy. On another note, if it's something that you do want to go into, like Gilena, then she's one step above someone else who's going into that. And I think that our school board has been very supportive of the program, but Kittitas still has it because we found a way to work it into our schedule and into our career and technical education for the job skills and resumes, and all of those kinds of things are all rolled into one. And so that's really why we've been successful with it.
I think that's probably one of the talking points that parents might be most interested in, that notion of helping students think through. It is such a difficult thing today for students to try to figure out where they're going and what's possible, because colleges and universities are going through that same dilemma. What's a possible path? What are we teaching? How are we teaching it? What's the next step? How does this fit into a changing economy? So, Gilena, could we come back to you again to kind of just flesh that out a little bit for you and your colleagues, your other students?
So basically, I took Mrs. Uceny's class of the career investigation class, and I job shadowed a STEM analyst. And basically, I contacted companies or nonprofit organizations like Idea Central, which is part of Central Washington University, and then also contacted a nonprofit organization in Wenatchee, NCW Tech. And that allowed me to kind of expand my opportunities. I wasn't sure exactly what part of STEM I wanted to pursue, but I knew that I wanted to do something within the science or space field. And basically what a STEM analyst does is that they provide data for a community on how to expand STEM within a community. So I took Kittitas as part of my project, which is also my FCCLA project this year, where I advocate for more STEM awareness. And basically, I take STEM, which I gave a survey to 8th graders and seniors asking about the STEM opportunities that are available to them and what STEM opportunities they want in the future. And I create data, and I actually presented that to the school board asking for more opportunities for students to pursue. And being able to reach beyond what I thought was possible, because I thought I was just a student at Kittitas. And if I were from a bigger school, I would not have had that opportunity. And yeah, I would say that this just allowed me to, actually, this was on my resume. This is a great resume starter as well. So yeah, I
And
would say
this
it
is,
expanded my opportunities.
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but this is the kind of opportunity, both to Cheryl and Tim, that would not be available if funding cuts were required, if the levy failed. So now we just have to work hard to encourage our friends and neighbors and families to get out and vote and support this. I I'm so grateful to the three of you for the time and energy. It's so wonderful to have a student voice. And I have to say, faculty, you are the heartbeat of our school system. You are the ones who take it day to day, hour to hour with students, and we're so appreciative. Um, um, if you have, Tim, one wrap up, would you give us a kind of spiel, what you want to say to our voters about why this is important? Again, just recapping.
Well, since I've had the opportunity to be part of this community since about August 1st of last year, I have been so impressed by the outpouring of support for our schools when it comes to whether it's an athletic event, whether it is a bingo party here at the secondary, whether it's our PTO supporting kids. The Kittitas community shows up and supports their kids. And in order to continue to keep our great programs, I look forward to seeing on April 28th our voters continuing to support our kids like they have done the last 30 plus years here in Kittitas. That this is a renewal levy. It's not a new tax. And we are basically asking for the same amount to move forward. And so looking forward to April 28th.
Thank you so much, all three of you. We're so appreciative of your time and your thoughts and your ideas and your commitment to keeping the Kittitas School District functioning very well. So I would like to thank Tim Praino, our superintendent of the Kittitas School District, our fabulous senior student, Gilena, who is going on to do wonderful things. And Cheryl, I'm so sorry I didn't get your last name right, but our faculty who support us daily, keep our kids going. Thank you so much for participating in this interview today. And for those of you who are watching, election will be April 28th. Ballots will be mailed on April 7th. Voting starts on April 10th. And the League does hope that all of you will especially get out and vote in every election for which you receive a ballot, but particularly this one. We know this is a hard one to commit yourself to, but it's just a mail-in. So do so. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kittitas School District folks, for being with us today.
Thank you.